Hey, I'm Nate with Cast Off Road. We're going to be showing you today how easy it is to install our cast aluminum door handles and replace these plastic chintzy ones that fade in the sun. So follow me. What you're going to need is a T25 long reach Torx screwdriver. They make these in T handles as well, but I prefer this to make sure you don't over torque anything. So super simple. We're going to open up the door jamb on any 2018 or newer Jeep Wrangler or Gladiator, and if we just go right in this door jamb here, most of them have a little sticker. Usually we just peel that off. We can reapply it later, but that's our little access point, and we're just going to take this Torx bit and just slowly back out one single Torx bolt here, and we don't need to go all the way. We don't really want that to come all the way out. We just want to loosen it. Maybe 4 or 5 turns or so should do it, and this should become loose, and you can start pulling on it and it should pop right out of the door. If it doesn't, that tells you you're just not loosened up enough, so we'll give it a few more turns, and I can tell that's already loosening, and it should, maybe with just one more turn, pop right out, and it does. So that pulls right out. This is the easy part. To then take the handle out, you're just going to slide it to the back and then rotate it out. Now if you're using keyless entry, you just need to make sure not to pull too hard. We don't want to damage these wires. There's just one clip that we're just going to press on with our thumb, and that pops right out. Now if you don't have keyless entry, don't worry, the process is still exactly identical, just without the added electrical connection. That's the front door. After this, we'll show you how to do the back door. So the process for the rear door is very similar, but with just a couple of differences. On this door, we're gonna actually, instead of that little sticker, we're gonna remove a little bit of the weather stripping out of the door jamb. Now this just comes out and can go back in just as easy, but we wanna expose this access hole that's right in line with the door handle. Once we've done that, we can take our screwdriver, and this is where that long reach comes in, because we'll need probably 3-4 inches to get to where that Torx bolt is, and sometimes you have to feel around for it so you feel it lock on, and then same exact thing. We're going to give it a few turns to loosen. We don't want to back that bolt all the way out, but we just want to loosen it enough so that we can pop this cap out, and sometimes you got to wiggle it. There we go, and it comes right out. Once again, sliding that door handle back. This of course does not have the keyless entry, so all we do is rotate it out, and now you've got both your front and your rear door handles out. The one thing to keep in mind is for the folks that have keyless entry, the cap actually matters, so you want to make sure that you keep the rear door cap and handle together, and you also want to keep the front door cap and handle together, because there is a magnet with the keyless entry, and if you mix them up, your keyless entry won't work. So that's the process. Where we're going to go next is the tailgate to get that door handle off, and then we'll work on the install. All right, lastly, and maybe most easily, is the rear tailgate handle. We're just going to open this up and expose this access hole right here. It's going to use the exact same T25 Torx bit, and this one we're just going to back up pretty much the exact same way, just enough till we feel it get really loose. Then we're going to come around and try and remove this cap and just wiggle that right out, and this pull up and rotate out just the same. Once again, this does have keyless entry on this particular Jeep model, so we're just going to push down on that clip and pull right out, and that's all there is to it. So that's the process for all 3 door handles on this 4-door Wrangler: the front, the rear, and then also the tailgate handle. This would work on 2 doors as well, with or without keyless entry. With the door handles now off, we're ready to take our metal door handles and put them on. And the way to do that is pretty simple. We can start with this door handle. The process is going to be exactly the same whether it's keyless entry or not. There's just going to be some extra electronics in here that we have to worry about. Also, this will work exactly the same for the rear door handle as well. That's a little bit smaller, but effectively the same thing. So we've got this. What we're going to do first is take this little rubber piece and peel that back. You don't need to take that all the way off necessarily. You can just kind of pull that back a little bit. We have one little screw there. It's actually a T8 Torx bit, and we include in any of our sets that we sell that tool because it is rather small, but we're just going to go ahead and very easily take that very small screw out. We just don't want to lose that. Once that screws out, all we have to do is unsnap the two pieces of this door handle. And really what you're going to do is just pull on sort of this cover and pull in the other direction on this hook, and with a little bit of ease keep pulling and it'll just snap open just like this. Now if you have keyless entry, you'll see this electronic piece. That's for the proximity sensor. We're going to carefully just slide that out, and all we should be left with is a button, once again, if you have keyless entry. So we'll just pop that out as well, just like so. And our cover is ready to be set aside, and we can bring back our underbody piece and put our metal door handle on. So once again, this is a keyless entry door handle. We're going to go ahead and put our button on. It fits exactly the same through our thumb hole, and we're going to press it onto these posts and make sure it's seated real nice, which it is. Then we're going to take the electronics and we're going to carefully thread them back into our new cast aluminum door handle. So we're going to start by taking this little square piece on the end of the proximity sensor, and we're just going to slide that through that little window right there. And then we just want to make sure that that proximity sensor is going straight back. We don't want it cockeyed to the left or to the right, or it won't fit up as nice. So we're just going to make sure that it's perfectly straight, or as straight as possible. And then there's a little bit of play. We just want to be careful because we don't want to damage those wires. But with that little bit of play, we have our plastic, and that's going to actually go, and I'll pull this rubber back just so we can see a little bit better. It's going to hinge underneath. See that? It's going to hinge underneath this little rib here in that cast aluminum door handle. So with this like this, the last thing to do is just snap it together. And that snaps together really, really nice. We're going to go ahead and take our rubber and push that back on as best as we can. There we go. And this rubber we want to seat as nice as possible, so we're going to push the back onto, there's some pins, and then also inside we want to push it down. There's a couple places that it grabs, and that ensures that it's a really nice fit and it will fit up to the door as seamless as possible. Lastly, we have our set screw that we took out at the beginning. We're going to replace that and just very lightly tighten that down. This is not something that you want to over tighten. You're just going to go extremely light, extremely soft, because it is threading into plastic and you can strip that very easily. But this is a perfectly done door handle, ready to reinstall on the door. The process would be exactly the same if it wasn't keyless entry. It just wouldn't have some of those electronic pieces. Okay, all that leaves then is the cap. So we have our plastic cap and our metal cap, and we do want to exchange that. Now this, once again, is a keyless entry cap. I know it's keyless entry because I can tell there's actually a magnet in here. I feel a little bit of magnetic pull right here. If it doesn't have that, that tells you it's not keyless entry. And so you just want to try to keep them separate. Whether you have keyless entry or not, for the front doors or the rear doors, we want to keep them together. But like I said, if you accidentally mix them all up, the way to tell is there'll be a magnet here and you can kind of feel it. So that's that. How do we get this off? And this is maybe the trickiest part of everything, is you're going to push down on the top and the bottom, but it won't go anywhere until we get a screwdriver in and pop this tab off these two little pins on each side. There's like two little plastic pins or hooks. And so what we're gonna do is just apply pressure onto both sides and carefully try and lift that up while still applying pressure. We're gonna come to this side, curl that up, and it kind of just snaps apart like that. But we can take our plastic cap and it's gonna hinge underneath these two posts. So you kind of have to angle this in, hinges underneath these posts right here. So you go under, and then all there is to do left is to just snap it together. So that is how you install the caps. Once again, this is for all the handles, including the tailgate. That's how that process works. If it's a little bit loose right now, that's okay. Once we install this on the Jeep, everything will tighten up accordingly. So that is the process. We're ready to reinstall these and rock and roll. All right, so we've got our aluminum door handle, both the handle and the cap. The last thing to do is install. Super easy. What we're gonna do is just reverse the process. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click the electronics back together. Click. You're just gonna slide this all the way through and hinge it back in carefully. And then we're just gonna push forward, and you'll feel that, and you'll be able to tell that it's on the door if it pulls properly. We do need to get that cap in so this stays. So we're gonna open our door. We'll insert our cap. And we kind of want to place the cap aligned where we ultimately want it, because when we tighten it down, that thing is not going to move. So we're going to take our Torx and just start tightening that set screw until we feel some good tension. Now, this is why I like using a screwdriver, is because this is not something we want to over torque. If we over torque this, we can start stripping things or breaking some of the componentry inside of the door, and we don't want that. Doesn't need to be super tight, just as long as we get that cap tightened up and I feel my screwdriver getting tight. So I'm gonna call that a perfect installation.